My name is Kumar Ramachandran, founder CEO of CloudGenix. And the cloud delivered branch is a new and innovative concept that we have rolled out to our customers. So we explained how SD-WAN is one half of the problem that customers face. The other half of the problem that customers face really is around my branch infrastructure delivery. Let's look at what do we mean by this, right, and make it very quickly real for all of us. What are the average branch, or most branches, there's 5 categories or 5 pieces of infrastructure that most enterprise branches are looking to deploy. Yeah, you need a network, especially on the WAN side, right? You need a network. You need security increasingly, and we'll do a deeper dive into security. You need collaboration tools, because there's going to be voice, there's going to be video. You're going to have some solutions for that. You need high-speed access, not only to your data center assets, but to multi-cloud increasingly. And then the last bit is around operations. You have all these things running, and the remote office seldom has any IT staff. You need proactive abilities to monitor, troubleshoot, diagnose, resolve. This is the infrastructure that most enterprises are looking to deliver. The historic model really in our industry has been hardware blades in a multifunction router, right? And the alleged benefit there is that I get one vendor, one throat to choke, etc. The reality, though, is that you get stuck with a hardware refresh life cycle. You get stuck with barely good enough services. Let's not kid ourselves. And oftentimes, there is a CVD, a validation design guide, that lasts several hundreds of pages in volume, right? And that's been, unfortunately, the state of affairs. As an industry, I think we experimented with NFV. I think we can all agree at this point that NFV works in certain contexts, like a service provider who has the expertise to build, operate, manage. But even in that context, it's a complex stack, right? There's a lot of software being delivered to every remote office. The cost of the CPE goes up needlessly in advance of the services being delivered, and integration is still the customer's responsibility, right? So we thought it's time for a change, right? We thought there's a unique opportunity here on the basis of what we built with SD-WAN to build a new platform for the next generation branch. And we've grounded it in 3 important principles for this new branch office. Number 1, we said we should enable cloud-delivered infrastructure, but without the loss of functionality. Oftentimes, when you take infrastructure from the branch and push it out to the cloud, you lose some functionality. We said, okay, we don't need that compromise to happen. We can deliver all these services without any loss of functionality. What do you need to do to get that? If you think about all these functions, they're not just layer 3 functions. Many of these are layer 3 through layer 7 functions. An NG firewall is exactly that. Collaboration requires understanding of layer 7. Multi-cloud access requires understanding of layer 7. Operations definitely requires understanding of layer 7. At the branch, if you have a layer 3 through layer 7 app engine that can be programmed and manipulated from a central location, preferably in the cloud, it sets the architecture to be able to deliver all these services without loss of functionality, because you can have a very powerful policy enforcement point. The second thing is really around saying, how do I get best of breed services, right? We think your services should be cloud delivered. We're also firm believers that they should be best of breed services, right? We saw the dangers and challenges with non-best of breed solutions, all in one vendor coming together. So what we've done is that we've said if you want to try and deliver best of breed, normally the downside really is that the fact that integration can become a nightmare, right? Even within a large company, you should have business units conflicting. NBAR 2 doesn't work with the iOS software, which doesn't work with something else. Whereas if you have the solution where your southbound APIs on your SD-WAN solution versus the northbound APIs coming out of some of these, accessing these vendor solutions, if you can have integration applications that are separated, you can start getting an integration into these various pieces of the puzzle. And that's great for day 1, right? The challenge is that day 2 still is a problem, meaning that day 2 is what happens when the vendor's code gets upgraded, the SD-WAN vendor's code versus the security vendor's code. Does the customer have to keep it all together? So we figured what really needs to happen is that you need a new platform at the branch where you allow for all these integrations. You have a centralized API. You don't have an API per device, right? If you're trying to integrate security into your branch, and there is an application that has to access every single device, it's a disaster, right? You need a centralized API model, and you need to maintain layer 3 through layer 7 state in that platform. And we'll make all of this, we'll ground all of this with some examples in a few minutes here. But if you had a platform like that, then you could go ahead and use cloud-delivered services without loss of functionality, and 2, get best-of-breed services integration for day one, with clean integration day 1 and day 2, right? That's exactly what we built. So we built a platform. We call it the CloudBlades platform. The reason for the name is, you had hardware blades and then software blades with NFV. We thought, okay, you're delivering CloudBlades into the branch with a platform that's really sitting out in the cloud. And there is integration with the leading vendors with some of best-of-breed solutions in every category, right? In security, we partner with Palo Alto, Zscaler, Checkpoint, Symantec, and then Netscope, Cloudflare. The list keeps growing. Similarly, in collaboration, a lot of partners, including RingCentral. There's a great multi-cloud solution with Equinix that Mike will talk to us about, and then a lot of operational tooling native to the solution. So the third thing that we said, or the third principle we laid out for this next generation branch, the cloud-delivered branch, really is automation, right? And automation across domains. Now, this is something as an industry I don't think we've ever managed to deliver in the past, right? You had tools like Prime and whatnot try and come and deliver solutions. What you'll see is real live customers with CloudGenix and using our CloudBlades platform as the underlying fabric, being able to have automation across all these platforms, all these technology solutions with best-of-breed players, where you can have a centralized repository for configuration and policy, and the system allows for config policy automation, maintains process audits, regression testing. You can do rollbacks, audit logs, compliance. All of that gets applied across your entire enterprise, right? So now when you start thinking about your branch office, you're really thinking about it in a very new way. You're on the CloudBlades platform. There's an app ecosystem, resiliency, elasticity, performance monitoring, state monitoring, security audit alerts, cross-vendor validations. All of that is native to the platform. And then on the platform, we built various blades. Most of the blades were built by CloudGenix, and then some of the MSPs, partners, and in 1 or 2 cases, even customers have gone ahead and built out the blades. Where customers build the blades, we then help, if there is interest, we aggregate it back and make it available as part of an ecosystem to the rest of the customers too.
Excuse me. So CloudBlades is basically your purpose-built hardware, or it's an application?
It's a platform in the cloud. So on the branch, you have the CloudGenix SD-WAN footprint, right? So the CloudBlades is a platform sitting in the cloud. So it's software in the cloud. And so you go onto that platform and you say, I want to invoke Palo Alto security service for my branch, and it all gets enabled because the integration is there.
So you're basically a software provider, you don't have a hardware.
That's right. So in this case, not only are we a software provider, we're actually a cloud SaaS provider, right? Because you don't have to buy the software and install it anywhere. You're subscribing to the service.
But is it just a virtualized CloudGenix box, or is it cloud native design built for?
Yeah, so great question. It is completely cloud native. So it elastically scales. There's microservices. Different services scale out in different ways. Yeah. It's not taking a virtual instance and putting it somewhere. Okay. That's a great point.
So you only have a SaaS model, you don't have a do-it-yourself model?
So we allow for do-it-yourself for some of our very conservative, very large customers. The reality, though, is even those very, very conservative and very, very large customers, after initially trying the do-it-yourself, they've actually migrated to the SaaS version because you get the benefits. We've been able to demonstrate security compliance. The system is FIPS ready. There's a whole bunch of things that we've solved for that customers are making that transformation right now.
So you have your own cloud, or you can run on-prem?
Both. We support both. Yeah. And if you look at the impact of the branch, right? And this is a real live customer, and if you have time at the tail end, we'll wind up going a little long with it. The before, This is one of the largest and very popular outdoor sportswear companies. Before CloudGenix, here's how every one of their stores look like. A Cisco router, an NG firewall, a WAN optimization blade, a visibility agent. They also had a call manager express, and they had most retail stores have this point of sale server in case the WAN goes down that also runs Active Directory, etc. Here's how their stores look today. There's a CloudGenix footprint. Everything else is cloud delivered, right? It's a foundational transformation for them. The cost structure, the management structure, the agility structure, how quickly can you get services to your store? When you have pop-up stores coming up, how fast do you open up? All of that has been very transformative. And that's why I go back to not just the IT impact, but also the business impact. When you look at retail as an industry, there are some retailers that are thriving and some that are struggling, right? And the difference comes right now from technology. Technology separates people out in this model. And in their new model, it's serverless branch, point of sale is gone, don't need Active Directory DNS or a separate server for that. The network can use any form of connectivity. Security has moved from on-prem to a cloud-delivered integrated model. UCaaS is being delivered with very high resiliency and performance. And what they've seen, they've gotten rid of MPLS completely, a full broadband network, dual broadband in certain locations. LTE flagged as, in backup, it's used for very select applications, right? So oftentimes in systems, hey, my active dies, I'm just going to dump everything on the backup. The reality is LTE is pretty expensive today. With 5G, we're hopeful things will change. So you can actually set policies in the system that where you treat LTE as backup, all these select applications are allowed in it that are mission critical. You can choose to use LTE active too, but depending on the cost structure, most customers go the other way. And the biggest impact for them really has been the speed of deployment, right? The rate at which they're able to open up new stores, shut down old stores.